In this video, I want to show you a company that went public on August 15th, 2023. Now, this company is called VinFast. I love that name. Now, VinFast is a 6-year-old car company out of Vietnam. In fact, they're actually registered in Singapore, but that's not the point here. The point is that this car company from Vietnam sold 7,500 vehicles last year, and all of them actually internal combustion engine vehicles, no EVs at all. Now, this year, they've decided to pivot into electric vehicles with the goal of producing 50,000 vehicles in a single year and delivering $2 billion in sales. In July of 2021, they went ahead and assembled the ATeam. They got the former CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Opel. Now, in case you haven't heard of Opel, that's the ugly sister of the German auto industry, but still, a German manufacturer CEO came in and took over this company. That's great. The only problem is that Mother Lover left after 5 months. He was like,
fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks.
Fuck this, I'm out of here. So you gotta wonder what he saw in there to make him quit after 5 months. Now, the new CEO of the company is actually a lady by the name of Madame Thuy. Now, she's a fine lady and she obviously knows business. She went to Harvard Business School, but, she's a former Lehman Brothers banker. Now, not to mention the issues that have to do with Lehman Brothers going bankrupt, but whenever you hire a banker to manage a car company, that's always a recipe for success. And, that's how the target works. Putting a 50,000 car target on the first year of EV productions of a brand new car company, only a banker can think that that makes sense. The problem is now this company is worth $70 billion, at least as of the making of this video, which means it's bigger than Ford, bigger than GM, and only second to Tesla. Now, the first warning sign that you should have spotted here is that the fact that this company went public as a SPAC. Yes, SPAC. You're not back in 2021. We don't have a DeLorean and a Doc Brown here. We definitely don't have 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts!
But this company went SPAC in 2023. Now, for those of you who forgot what SPAC is, SPAC is essentially a special purpose acquisition corporation. All it does is cheats the system. If you want to go public quick, cheap, and without the scrutiny of the SEC, that's how you do it. A company with just money, no business activity, goes public. Obviously, there's no business to be scrutinized. Then that company actually merges into an existing business, which is a private company. And then the private company survives the merger, therefore becoming de facto the public company. That's all it is. Now, the crazy part about it is that now the cat's is out of the bag. Everybody knows that a SPAC is basically a scam. And we've seen that happen with multiple companies that were supposed to be the next Tesla. Nikola, Lordstown, Canoe, blah, 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 blah. All these companies that went under based on that EV hype of the next Tesla storyline that was absolutely overvalued, overhyped, and total BS. The market have learned its lesson. Well, apparently not, because VinFast is now being tagged as the new Tesla out of Asia. Now, in 2023, based on August numbers, there's only been 22 SPACs compared to 600 in 2021. So SPACs have pretty much died out, but not this company. Now, why would this company go SPAC? In my humble opinion, I think they didn't have a choice, and I'll explain in a second why. But here's the thing. Look at it this way. This is a company that just went public through a SPAC. Now, it's all hyped up as the next Tesla out of Asia. It has very little to no sales of electric vehicles, 7,500 vehicles sold, ICE vehicles in 2022. It's ballooning all the way up to $70 billion in market cap. It has a CEO that's a banker, not from the auto industry, and it has some strange outlook numbers that just don't add up. And you know what? Even if this outlook actually pans out and they do manage to sell 50,000 cars in 2023, and they actually managed to drive $2 billion of sales, that means they're now trading at 35x sales. Price to sales of 35, which is identical to Nvidia with 36. So this company is currently trading on the same quality level as Nvidia. Imagine that. Now, to me, that sounds a lot like that famous quote about not getting fooled twice.
Fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
This thing is literally a play from the 2021 playbook of hype and EV bubbles, and it's playing right in front of you, and some people are still falling for that. I just don't understand how. Listen to the CEO itself. They've asked this lady why they went SPAC, especially when SPACs are pretty much dead. And her answer was basically, look, we wanted to do an IPO. We didn't do an IPO because the market was bad. Now that the market is better, after we cancel our IPO, we now have to go fast to catch the market, so we're going SPAC.
We were ready to do a traditional IPO. We pursued the path for almost 2 years, but the markets have been challenging. So we decided to decouple the listing from the fundraising. We got the financial backing from our parents' company, and we went ahead with the listing by way of SPAC.
Now, to me, that doesn't add up. To me, it sounds more like nobody wanted to touch this IPO and they had to go SPAC because this was the only way for them to hit the public market and get that money. But forget the SPAC talk. What about the cars themselves? Well, the cars are truly a work of art. Bellissimo. Motor Trend actually reviewed this car, the VF8, and it said it was nowhere near ready for deliveries, titling the article, Return to Sender. Now, Kelly Blue Book actually put out an article titled, VinFast Reviews Are Abysmal. Now, hard to sugarcoat a piece of turd, even with a really nice external design. But that's what happens when you don't have any expertise in building cars. You can ask Elon. It takes a lot of time to master the art of producing vehicles. The parent company, Vingroup, was established way back in '93. And until 2017, all it did was investing. Real estate investments, retail investments. In 2017, they decided to form a subsidiary, which will be an auto manufacturer in Vietnam. And in 2022, they've managed to push out 7,500 cars, internal combustion engine cars. Now, in 2023, all of a sudden, they're an EV expert, and they plan to sell 50,000 cars. Now, look, if you think that 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 571, this makes perfect sense. Otherwise, this shit doesn't add up. Now, look, the VF8, which is the current question here, is currently retailing in the US for $46,000. With a range of 260 miles and no EV credit because it's produced in Vietnam. While the Model Y is actually retailing for $48,000 with a $7,500 credit, a range of 300 miles. So in fact, the Model Y is currently cheaper than the VF8. Now, I can think of a single person in the United States that's gonna go, you know what, I don't want a Tesla, I want a VinFast for more money. How is this thing gonna work? Now look, as far as the quality, there's been many complaints. The driver assist system, the blinkers, the air conditioning, the accelerator. The funniest of them all was the seats overheating to the point of boiling people's ass. I mean, this thing ain't ready. In fact, every single car they sold in the US was already recalled for the screen just randomly shutting off. Now, these guys are ruthless, and I don't know what they'll do about my video, but in Vietnam, they filed a police report against a YouTuber who criticized their car. I mean, that reminds me a lot of Nikola. But as a Nikola case, this thing is not going to stop me. Now, if you open up the prospectus of this fine company, you'll find a warning from the company, and I'm quoting the company right now, on page 17 of the prospectus. We have a significant additional capital through debt or selling shares requirement. Basically, they're telling you in the prospectus, they're going to need way more money to survive, either through diluting you or through taking on more debt and paying interest. In any case, it's the company saying it, not me. And things get crazier when you keep looking at the prospectus. The SPAC initially had $285 million that were supposed to go into VinFast. But like in every SPAC, when the SPAC announces the target, people can redeem their money if they don't like the target company. Now, out of the $285 million, only $150 million stayed in. The rest of them are gone. Half of the people just basically bolted. And I'm sure some of them are dead or they just forgot their password. They forgot to put the money there. But essentially, the whole SPAC just brought into VinFast $150 million. Whoop-de-doo. Their current cash position before that infusion was $158 million. Now, their current liabilities at $3.5 billion. And in 2022, they lost $1.8 billion. In fact, in Q1 of this year, in just a single quarter, they lost $470 million, which is more than they have in their cash right now, in a single quarter. Now, where is this thing going to come out of? How the hell are they going to survive next year? Forget next 5 years. Not to mention that their cost structure is abysmal. In 2022, they sold $525 million worth of cars. The cost of goods was $1 billion, which means they are losing money on every single car. In fact, they're losing double than what they're making. Now look, the dude who owns this company is worth $5 billion. And that's a lot of money. But just to understand this company lost in 2022 almost half of what this mother lover is worth. Now, who in their right mind is going to give this company money? Who? Even if this guy, the owner, decides to personally bankroll this company out of his pocket, which is highly unlikely, and put every cent he has into this company, it's about 2 years worth of operations, and there it's gone. Not to mention the fact that this stock has 3 bad times coming. Number one, the lockup is going to expire. Every single SPAC shareholder that's currently sitting in this valuation is waiting for the 6-month lockup to expire. Within 6 months, they're allowed to sell their shares, and I guarantee you a lot of them will bolt. Number two, we have more dilution coming. The company told you they have to sell more shares to get more money in. We have more debt coming. They have to raise capital. All of these things are going to crash this stock like a stone, and the people who are left in it because they were greedy, they're going to pay a hefty price. And even though we're talking about one company here, this thing is not idiosyncratic. In fact, it's the opposite. This happens every day, and many people fall in this trap. If you want to learn how to avoid this, I made a whole video explaining how to properly identify great companies to invest in and how to avoid trash. I'm going to put the video right here for you guys to go check it out. Below it is going to be the subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'll see you there in just a second.